529. Thanks for catching that.
Sorry, Bob.
The remaining belongs in GL 52930 for the property tax that we paid for things other than the park. And that is really all I have. Hopefully next meeting we'll have the finance report from VIS.
Got one question for Heaven. Do we expect to get the December financials from the Management Trust? It's just a matter of time.
Yes, it's just a matter of time. I spoke with our manager, the office manager, Avonlea, and she's still working with them to get that. I believe she scheduled a meeting with them to get the final paperwork and financials from them, because I could only find November. So that was the last financials that we received from them. And so hopefully, I believe she scheduled it for the beginning of next week. So hopefully we get those in, and once we get everything in, then we can get y'all more updated financials, and I'll post that for the board once we get them in the base camp as well.
Understood. Thank you for the detailed explanation. Paul, you got a question?
And for that property tax one, is that something you can reallocate once you're able to get in it?
Since it is a previous management financial, we can't actually make any changes to their financials or change the GL codes that they use, but we can note that those were in the wrong GL. So then whenever we do ours, then we have it in the correct GL. And usually what I like to do is monthly we'll go through the GLs and make sure those are correct. But we wouldn't be able to go there, but when the audit takes place, then you can request those adjustments. So that's the only thing that we would be able to do. We wouldn't actually be able to do it, but when the audit is taking place, then that is somewhere that it could be done.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the treasurer's report? Hearing none, I just want to remind everyone that we expected the audit company to be present to answer questions, but I don't see them on yet. Whoever the iPhone is calling in, if you are the point of contact for the audit company, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to continue with the agenda until they drop in.
Hey, Eric, I have a quick question on the audit. The questions that I submitted to you last night, were those able to get off to Newman?
Absolutely. They were provided to them for a read ahead, and she was planning on being present. I don't see her online. Her name's Alexa. If anyone sees her pop in as I'm going through the rest of the agenda. If she does come in while we're on another topic, just let me know so that I can find a good stopping point or pause point. So this takes us to the ACC Committee Report. I see there's a couple members of the ACC Committee online. I'll give the floor to either of you who want to provide a report.
I'll provide the report. My name is Jennifer Hunter, part of the ACC Committee. We really have not done too much. We did take a pause through the holiday season, resumed meetings for this month, January. We had one meeting this past Tuesday. We had one application come through, which was approved upon conditions. And we would just like to remind homeowners coming into the spring, summer months for any projects to submit all ACC applications prior and ahead of time, prior to the project being completed. And then also, just as a reminder, the application is available and ready online as well.
Any questions from the board for the Architectural Committee?
None at this time.
I will add that thank you, Heaven, for clearing the legalities of how the subcommittees can operate through the use of Basecamp. and clarifying whether or not they are required to give notice of meetings and have those meetings in open forum. To update the public, the Architectural Committee, the nature of their business is specific to a certain homeowner. So their entire session is an executive session, so they don't have to make it public, and they don't have to take minutes because there's a software system called Basecamp that they conduct all their transactions in. And that is a workflow software that has the play-by-play for everything from the submission of your application to the approval and return to you on decision. So just want to make sure that everyone understands that. Without further ado, I'll give the floor to Heaven to introduce herself and provide her report.
Hi. Okay. So just a small introduction about myself. I'm Heaven Sledge, and I am married. My husband is military, so he'll be in and out here and there. And so for our action items, we actually, most of our to-dos are throughout the agenda for this meeting, so we can go through them as we get there. I did have a little bit of updates. I know a lot of homeowners are concerned about late fees. We won't be charging any late fees while we're in the middle of transitioning. Anything regarding the accounts, once we get everything set up and we get final financials, if y'all have credits or y'all have any balances, those will be put into the system, and then that would be able to be seen, because I believe right now y'all are only seeing y'all's normal monthly assessments. Also, a few other things that I believe I wanted to discuss was for any complaints. We do have a system, so we do have complaint forms that people could fill out and send them to us directly. I understood that previously y'all were doing anonymous complaints, which they still will be anonymous. Confidentiality will not, under confidentiality, we won't share any complaints with any homeowners. If you have one against them and they want to know who sent that complaint, we will not share that with them. We'll just let them know there was a complaint if they do ask if there was a complaint. And I believe that was like the main things that I wanted to touch base on. And the rest of our action items that I've been working on with the board are throughout the agenda as well.
Perfect. I just checked the participants and there's no change. So we'll just roll through these together, Heaven, into the old business. First up, park fencing. Everyone should have noticed that there's a fence in place now. The payment of the invoices pending the full cycle of our financials transferring into the new bank account from management trust into our new account with VIS, and then that invoice will be settled. There is an RFP, a request for proposal, out to Viz. Heaven, what's the name of them? I just drew a blank. VizPen, right?
Yes.
So it's VizPen is pretty sharp, guys and gals. It is a solar powered Wi-Fi hotspot that serves itself. The access is through a phone app that the owners will be able to download and create an individual access that's kind of like a proximity reader. When they get to the gate, they open the app and it opens unlocks the gate, and away they go. So that's something we're looking into. We should expect a bid from them next week, and that's it. Are there any questions concerning the current state of the park fencing, locks, and signs? I'm sorry, let me add the signs. I have a bid from Fast Signs of Lacey that I would like the board to review and trim down anything that we think is extra and approve what we deem appropriate to sign the fence and park.
What's so funny?
What I'm looking for the context of
hot and dangerous.
is looking for like the park rules and no trespass signs, private property, a lot of deterrent type language. How much we put on the sign as far as letters doesn't affect the pricing, and the size and type of material is where the pricing comes in. Is that in this board packet, Heaven? The I think you're muted, Heaven.
For which one? Sorry.
The fast signs proposal.
So that's not in there. Let me see. That wouldn't be in there. I did the insurance proposals, and
Yeah, that's my fault. I don't think I got it to you. So
I don't think I've ever seen it.
give me a moment to correct myself.
Eric, is this something you wanted to discuss right now, what's going on with signs, or do you want to put that on base camp where we can discuss it there?
Up to you. Let me get it in front of you all. Because I feel like at a minimum, if you see where we're sitting, you can give me no more than type approval here. Let's just get it up real quick. I got it right here. All right, can you see it? Paul, can you see the fast signs proposal?
$3,129.23.
Okay. I think that's higher than what we actually need. And I'm going to run through the eaches here, and then we can either motion to adjust and approve or motion to table. It's up to you all. So die bond is the type of sign, and here's the dimensions. This is 6 foot by 4 foot. When I requested the proposal, I was thinking 2 of these, one on the vehicle gate and one adjacent to the pedestrian gate at the end of 20th. And that would have the most detailed park rules and no trespassing, private property type lettering. And that would be in reflective vinyl lettering, which will also help protect from vehicles driving down to the gate and hitting it because they don't know that there's a gate there. So that line item alone is $935. And then a 3x3, I had 2 of these to put on the pedestrian gates themselves to guide authorized personnel, authorized owners to how to access as a stopgap, and then how to make sure that the gate closes behind them and it's not propped open, sort of thing. The 3x3 would fit nicely right by the latch of the gate. So as someone's approaching as a pedestrian, it would be like right in their face to remind them of how to enter and exit and to make sure that they secure the gate behind them. So the 2 of those together were about $1,200 or so, the $935 and $372. Then you got a setup fee of $25. Labor and materials. So this goes into the post signs, and I'll talk about that, but I'm going to skip down to the rest. For them to mount the signs to the chain link, this is a line I think we could probably omit. For them to fasten it with tamper-proof hardware, they're going to charge us $255, and that's their labor rate of $100 an hour, like $125 an hour, I think they said. And then for the post, what I was looking at for post is to use the existing signs that we have within the park and relocate those to posts. And there's 2 line items here. We've got a wood material, which is this one for $209, or we've got steel posts down here for $605. And that's where you get the threes high already. The 3,000 total is high already because it's either or. It's $400 for a more permanent steel post, or was that 205 for 209 for wooden post. And where I was thinking about placing those is along the easement between the curve of Maze and the gate to provide additional notices that it's private property. The signs I'm referring to are the no parking, the tow signs, and the other private property signs that are inside the park on the split rail that we could remove ourselves and just pay the labor to have those posts set along the easement. So don't necessarily have to rush this decision. But if anyone wants to make one of those 3 motions, we can adjust this and approve a total. We can approve a no more than total, or we can table this and I can add it to base camp and we can discuss it in base camp.
Yeah, this is Paul. At this point, I would consider tabling this for later. One of my big questions is which line item out of our budget do we want to pay for this out of? How much room do we have in that budget line item? And that's something we can discuss later, but I really appreciate all the work you've done on this, Eric, hammering this out with fast signs. This looks like it took a lot of time and effort, but I do agree we do need these signs. They should definitely be up before spring hits. So,
is there a second to table this and discuss offline and even at the next meeting?
I second to table this.
All in favor?
Rob, aye.
Paul, aye.
Savannah, aye.
It is unanimous. We're going to table this. I will load this. So action item to me, Paul. I'm going to load this into base camp immediately following this meeting, and we can start that discussion. You bring up good points as far as what line to pull this funding from and how much we want to invest in it. So I'm going to stop share again. I did get an email from the audit company who's having trouble accessing us. So I'm going to just take a brief moment to get her logged in. Okay, she couldn't find the passcode. So she's got the passcode now. Again, if you guys see her pop in, just tell me to pause and I'll give her the floor. So preserve cleanup, I don't know if anyone noticed, but they were able to start today. They're doing a very, very great job in detailed work there. So don't know how long they plan on it taking, but they've been working hard and slow and deliberately. The care there is that there's a lot of oak saplings. Some of those are natural from sprouting from the mature growth there, and others were planted by Century. So what they're doing is a lot of manual removal of stuff near the saplings, and then they can use machinery and mechanical removal of stuff in the open area. So very deliberate thought process behind it from my observations as I was passing them in and out today. So give them time. The contract for that is on a flat rate. So if it takes them a week to do it right, then that's very diligent work on their part. Any questions on the preserve cleanup?
Eric, on the preserve cleanup, that is only the large oak preserve. We're not talking the oak preserve trails that we have, the two of those trails, correct?
So let me clarify, understand your question. When the oak preserve is that 2 or 3 acre section at the north end of Maze, and then it jumps across 20th to a little triangle section before it gets to 21st. And then it breaks again to that trail that wraps to, is it 22nd, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. I will clarify that and get back with the board. But what I know for a fact they're doing is the square section on the very north end of the property, and then that triangle wedge between 20th and 21st. They also have on their schedule to beat down the brush along the water's edge of the park and the south end of the park, as well as the trails. They're going to do that on a routine anyway. Whether or not it's in this catch-up out of contract job or not, I'm not sure about the trails south of 21st, but I do know that the square and the little triangle wedge section there are included, because that's where a lot of the overgrowth and what they needed to catch up was based on. And then moving forward in the base contract is quarterly maintenance of all those areas. So if they don't get it, I guess at the end of the day, what I'm saying is if whatever they don't capture in this catch up is going to be in their maintenance schedule, which we have on file.
And this is Mint doing that work, correct?
This is Mint. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you.
Still waiting for the audit company, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to bypass 10C, which is the audit question and answer session. And when she comes in, we will address C and D, the audit questions and audit approval. Part trimming and removal of certain dead trees or dangerous trees is the proper term. That's still with Thurston County, pending review and approval of the permit. So no change there. I will notify the public via an e-blast through DIS, as well as the social media and our use of the newsletter once I get a better date. They were planning on December, January, but counties work at the pace of counties. So it's outside the control of us or the vendor at this time. I guess I had preserve cleanup in here twice. So that is it for old business, pending any questions. Hearing none, we'll go into new business. And Heaven, I'm going to give you the floor on these first three if you don't, or four actually.
Yep, of course. Okay, so for new business A, petty cash debit card resolutions, we just need a motion stating that 2 board members will be receiving these petty cash debit cards, and then y'all can draft out what y'all want, specifically what y'all want that resolution to be, and put that on Basecamp for me, and I put that under our letterhead, get those signed, and then we could post that as an official document in the portal for y'all's community. And I believe y'all were wanting a card for you, Eric, and then one for Paul as the treasurer. So we just need a motion for that.
So it sounds like I'm hearing multiple motions. You need a motion first to determine who's getting a card, and then we need to.
It could be one motion. One motion that the board president and treasurer will be receiving these debit card petty cash cards.
Right, but then when we draft the resolution, do we need a motion to adopt that resolution?
This will be the motion to adopt. So once we just have to type up the actual resolution form and get that signed by both beyond, then it's official. Since this is the motion.
Okay, board, do we want to discuss what we want the resolution to say as far as parameters for how much is going to be in that account, or, well, that's the next line right there as well. I'm probably combining a little bit, or what the rules and stuff are that we're going to agree to so that this can be drafted and signed off on.
This Paul, I think it'd be easier if we had a draft that we could look at and approve.
I agree with Paul.
Evan, do we have a draft?
I don't believe we have a draft for your community, but I can get one.
Minutes making a draft.
All right, let's do this. Can I get a motion to assign 2 debit cards to the president and the treasurer, and then table the rest to draft via base camp?
I make a motion to get you the president and treasurer debit cards so we can move everything else forward.
Second.
Paul, second.
All in favor?
Paul, aye.
Rob, aye.
Savannah, I.
It's unanimous. So action item to Heaven and Eric, please, Paul, to work out the details of the resolution, and then we can approve that in base camp and ratify at the next meeting. And that will include, in my mind, that includes the balance limit.
Yes, so I did put that on the agenda because the account already has a balance. We'll have it a balance limit. And then once y'all start using it, then monthly our accounting department will reload that account. So that balance is still the same every month. So so that is already set with the account. So we can add that into that resolution just so y'all have it cleared out on there as well.
That sounds like a very quick and easy thing that you and I can take care of in the next couple of days. So can we put a suspense of next Wednesday?
Yeah, that works.
I think we can turn that pretty easily. And let's move to I'm sorry, Heaven, did you have something else?
I was just going to say, in order for us to open the account, we need to have a motion on what you'd like the balance to be.
All right, board.
Paul, I'm going to lean on you as the treasurer to give us an idea of what you think is right.
This is just a petty cash, short notice, low expense sort of thing in my head. So, yeah. Paul, what you got?
My experience, in the nonprofit world, at least, a petty cash of $500 was always plenty. So I would start off at 500. Does anybody think we should have more than that?
I don't. And what Heaven also pointed out was if we do have a larger expense, there's a process that we can get that limit changed through a motion and approval. If we have something that we know that's going to happen. Actually, Heaven, can you explain that better? VIS has a card. They've got like a company card that if there was something that was emergent, they can use their card and just invoice us. And Heaven, am I saying that right?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
So yeah, if there was something that's outside our scope, then VIS has us covered. So 500, is there a motion? Paul's making the motion. Second?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
I heard a Rob second. All in favor?
Paul, aye.
Rob, aye.
Savannah, I.
Unanimous. And
Now, just to clarify, that $500 limit is on both cards, right? It's not $500 on one card and $500
it's the
on
account.
the cards are linked, correct?
Yeah, it's $500 total for the entire account.
Thank you so much.
Cool. And Heaven, the affidavit of corporate authority, please.
So actually, we have to do, sorry, you skipped C, small balance resolution. So this is just a small balance resolution is so that we know when to start charging late fees. Usually we recommend $15 to $30, just dependent. We say that because we do charge an admin fee. So if there's any letters that are sent out, that is like the minimum of the admin fee for anything. And so that's usually what we say, but that is totally up to the board. And if y'all already have something in place that y'all want to continue on, then we can just continue that as well.
So I'll open the conversation here just to remind the board, the CC&Rs already have a 30-day grace. It's not even considered late under the governing documents for the first 30 days. This small balance resolution is saying until your overdues are X, VIS is not going to send a letter to these owners. I don't care either way. I'm interested to hear what you all have to say.
Heaven, what did you recommend as the amount again?
We usually recommend 15, the minimum, only because we do have an admin charge of $15. We've have set up some associations who just do the monthly dues. Since y'all are equal amount throughout the community, we can do the minimum, the dues amount. So then anybody who has not paid their dues in those 30 days, once those 30 days are up, then they receive that late fee and admin fee assessed to their account for being notified that they are behind.
So I kind of like that if we could set it at what because we could put in the wording that whatever our current dues are is the minimum balance. Could we do that, Heaven? Would we have to put a number on it?
It would have to have a number. Actually, if Eric, you want to scroll down, I did put in that template of the wording, that exact wording that it will be used. And then we just kind of put in that dollar amount. Yeah, I believe it's after financials. Oh, there. The form right above this one.
Oh, here we go. Right here.
So keep in mind that if you do a full month's assessment, you will not be, you're saying that you're not going to collect late fees or admin fees on anyone that gets a fine for being out of compliance.
Okay, so we don't want to do that.
Is this something we have to do or encouraged to do?
Yes. It is something that has to be done. We can do, if you would like, we can do like the minimum, the first violation fine and plus our admin fee. Since that would be the first second violation, but first assessment besides the assessed amount besides your regular dues.
So it looks like your first violation is $75. So I would recommend just starting with $75.
I like to take the advice of professionals. So I'll go with the $75.
Is there a motion, Paul?
That is my motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Favor?
Rob, aye.
All aye.
Savannah, I.
Unanimous. So to complete this form, Heaven, we just need to drop that number in the highlighted area. And then do you route it through us for e-signature?
You're muted, but yes, we'll send it for digital signature.
Okay, and you need all three?
Yes.
Okay, easy.
By the way, I love your digital signature application that you used. That was very, very easy the other day.
Yeah, so it will go through DocuSign, and then we'll make sure to add everybody to that, so y'all have the signature, the document to get that signed. And I will go in there, edit it, and send it to y'all.
Okay, trying to scroll. Here we go. So next on the agenda is affidavit for corporate authority. This document gives VIS power of attorney, for lack of a better word, to go to court on our behalf. There was a question in base camp. Paul, you want to ask it while I'm getting to the document?
Yeah, let me see if I remember it off the top of my head. Does this preclude us from hiring our own attorney? Because we have an attorney that works with us on certain things to do this work for us. No.
No, sorry.
So basically, if it's something that's small that we don't need our attorney to get involved with, your guys' folks will take care of it.
Yes, so.
And it's really,
Go ahead.
and it's really for small claims, like we're going in to recover funds that just haven't been paid. Is that it?
Yes, so it would be for Irina, who runs our collections department and is an owner in the company, to be able to represent the association if we do go to small claims court. She's not an attorney, so she would be accompanied by an attorney, and that can be any attorney of your choice.
And this prevents the board or the president or any member of the board from having to be present, present in court or present at the filing of these documents, and allows VIS to serve as our management and our representative to process these actions, right? Like liens and whatnot. Otherwise, we as the owners would have to be present to file these documents, like to record a lien or pre-lien. Is that right?
Yes, you're correct, Eric.
So we're just enabling you to do what we're paying you for. Love it.
Great. And this document actually has to be notarized, which we have Irene or Scott in our office that can do that. So preferably somebody that can come to our office and do this with them present.
I can do it on just normal business hours.
Yeah, or whenever we can accommodate.
Okay, that's easy. You need a motion here, Heaven?
Yes.
Okay, motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
I second.
Favor.
Rob, aye.
I think I heard Paul and Rob simultaneously.
Savannah, I.
And unanimous. Okay, we got insurance proposals next. Heaven, would you like to take the floor and give us a summary of the two that you've provided us?
Yes, so we went over these, and the main thing, most basic way that I can explain this is with American Family, they do not have a regular deductible, which I believe I stated that in base camp. So they don't have a deductible, and CAU does have a deductible. And the main difference is that American Family monthly and for the whole year will be more expensive. So you can always take it in place if y'all don't file, have not filed claims frequently. If it's not very common, then we would recommend going with the one that's cheaper and you do have a deductible. We did for the previous insurance, y'all only had, I believe it was a 2 million umbrella, and so both of these also have higher umbrellas than your previous insurance as well. So it's mainly up to the board if y'all want that deductible or not. And then obviously American Family, is they don't have a deductible, but they are more expensive for this quote than CAU was, and they do have their deductible on their insurance. on their proposal.
What are the prices for each?
Oh, sorry. I'm so used to sharing my screen. Now I'm trying to scroll.
I got you. Sorry. And if you want to take control, I can give it to you.
It's okay. You have it up. I think you just passed the main part for CAU.
These are the coverages. This is not.
Oh yeah. No, yes. CAU is towards toward American families towards the bottom. CAU is towards the top.
Oh, did I pass CAU completely? The first one?
No, CAU is the bottom, but their proposals, they're like their first page.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, where the answer is to the question. So this is the 1,000. Wait, AmFam's the 0, right? Deductible.
Yes, and then they had 1,000. It was for the CNO and the crime, or
Okay.
DNO and crime. It was.
Is this the page you want, Heaven?
No.
For American Family?
No, it's further down. That it's just
There you go.
there it is. So for the 3 million, because y'all only had a 2 million umbrella, so the 3 million and the was a fairly similar price that y'all had previously. With this proposal, y'all would not have the deductible. Only $1,000 deductible for DNO and crime. But for everything else, it would be no deductible. For, if you want to scroll, so this was at 33.37. And then if you want to scroll down to CAU. Oh, it's further up.
Okay. Hey, this, nope. There you go. Right here? No? Yeah.
Yes, right there. So right here, their deductible is $2,500, and then the annual premium is $2,178. So those are the main differences.
So it's $2,178 with a deductible of $2,500.
Yes.
The other one had no deductible, and the lowest cost was 27 something.
That was with the 2 million umbrella though.
Yeah,
It was a 1 million umbrella, I believe, actually.
right. It's tiered. It's one.
It's tiered from 1, 3, and 5.
Yeah. And CAU wasn't tiered. It was, they just gave us the one quote for the 2
Yes.
million umbrella. So if I get back to the page I'm looking for right here. So they were 21 annually, right, Paul?
Yeah.
CAU was 21, but there's somewhere in between the 1 and 3 here, but also have a $2,500 per incident umbrella, or I'm sorry, deductible. And then here up to 5 umbrella, and that's the liability, $3,589 and we're paying in full because it's escrowed throughout the year and the payment's made one time. So we'd be at the rate of $3,589.
And you said the only one that has the deductible is actually the DNO policy, not the other one.
Yeah, so DNO and crime will have $1,000 deductible. But
For American Family, right?
yes,
Yeah,
for
right
American
here.
Family.
And neither one of those are very seldom used ever.
But yeah, exactly. Knock on wood. We've only had that one light pole claim from a hit and run, and that was 3 years ago, right? But paid,
in this policy, there would be no deductible on it. And
right.
The old policy there was.
Right. We paid a $5,000 deductible for a $10,000 light.
Yeah.
But here we got an opportunity to pay $0 if something like that happens in the future.
So the only difference is which umbrella policy we go with.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
I think our last one had $1 million one. If I remember right.
Yeah, I recall.
This was 2 million.
Was it?
Was it 2?
Yes.
So Paul, what did you figure out that our current budget prices for insurance?
$3,699 is what we currently budget for insurance.
So
So either way we go, we're going to save money.
right. So if we take the most expensive option, we're still right at what we're paying now, but we're increasing our coverage trifold.
Dramatic.
Right.
Yeah. And the benefit of having the additional umbrella protects us from, lawsuits brought to the HOA. So, So we're protecting our assets here. And our assets include, everything that this HOA owns property wise, plus what we have in the bank account, in both bank accounts. So. And yeah, at some point, our reserve fund is going to be high that we don't want people going after that either. So I'm good with the higher umbrella policy myself.
All right. Any other discussion, questions, comments for these two insurance quotes? Hearing none. Paul, do you have a motion based off of what you just said?
Scroll up a little bit. What's the name of this policy we're looking at?
This is American Family.
All right.
So from what you just said, I'm going to take you to the page because I'm a visual learner. I think what you just said, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I spent some time looking at both of these this afternoon, and I'll say up front, I'm no expert on insurance policies. That is not my gig. Ideally, it would have been beneficial to have the insurance companies come and brief us on this. And I would like to make a point that the next time we re-up an insurance policy, that we do invite the insurance companies out here to brief us on these policies. I've served on 3 different nonprofit boards and worked with 3 other nonprofits. And every time we did this, we would bring in insurance companies to brief us on what we're purchasing. So in the future, I'd like us to do that. But I would recommend the full pay annual of the $3,589, which is less than what we're paying, budgeted for right now. So it's not like we're paying extra money. We're paying pretty much the same money for much better insurance.
Fair enough. There's a motion on the table made by Paul to adopt American Family Insurance under the coverage of the $5 million umbrella, using the full pay annual amount of $3,589. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Rob, aye.
Paul, aye. What was that dollar amount again?
3,589.
Savannah, I.
It's unanimous, Paul. There's an endorsement page I need to sign on there. Heaven or Christina?
No.
Sorry, I'm shaking my head. No. They'll send it to Heaven and then she can sign on your behalf as long
Oh,
as.
awesome. Okay, so no action to me, and then I'm moving on with the agenda. Where are we? Let's go. Rules revision. This is an update. So I updated the rules to current county ordinances and Marion County and city ordinances, even though we're in the kind of the greater Thurston County. That needs a legal review before I can give it to you for an adoption, but so do the CC&Rs and bylaws. So we're all familiar that the CC&Rs we got as buyers 3 years ago, or with Century as the board. So all the language in there is focused on the declarant and a bunch of irrelevant stuff now that we're owner controlled going into our second year. So don't have a motion here for any adoption of these rules or CC&Rs, but I do need to I assume this is going to be motion to table and discuss in base camp, but I do need to propose that we spend $4,000 to $5,000 to have the legal team, a lawyer and paralegals, go through the 128 pages of CC&Rs and the other 100 pages of bylaws, and then give us a legal opinion that the rules are good, and marry all those documents together to catch them up to where they need to be legally sound and sufficient for us to govern under. So is there any discussion we want to have now, or do we want to motion that and discuss via base camp and agenda it at the next regular scheduled meeting?
So I understood that you guys are going to try and amend your CC&Rs to remove the declarant controlled or the declarant information, because most of it is in favor of the declarant. Is that correct? So then you'll need your homeowners to sign off on the amendment?
There's that too, right? So yeah, Heaven and I discussed that too. So doubt that we're going to have the timeline to get this completed before the March annual meeting.
Right.
This will require an all owners vote board to adopt the new CC&Rs. So if and when we get the product back from the lawyer, we would schedule a special meeting of all owners in order to adopt those, or just carry those into March next year, depending on how long it takes to get them back. But I suspect it would be a mid-year special meeting just to adopt these and get them recorded with the county. Thanks for bringing that up.
We have a budget meeting coming in September as
That's
well.
right. Yeah, we do have another opportunity
There as well if it is
Right.
completed by then.
Yeah, good point. So that's where I'm at. I highly doubt we can make March, but they need done. This is a necessity. It's just probably need to give time to Paul to tell me where the money's going to come from, and for us to decide that as a board. So anyone have any questions or discussion for this? Because I think it just needs tabled for us to discuss in base camp and at the next meeting.
My comment on the rules revision is we need to take a look at what rules revisions that you're looking at.
Yep.
And those need to be presented out for the membership to review prior to a meeting, so we can get all that approved. Right. Would it be possible to have a vote at the membership meeting on the rules and the new CC&R updates pending legal review?
So generally how this works is that rules don't need your homeowners to sign off on. That's just a board vote and approve. And then you mail that out, and they get 30 days before they're enforceable. Your CC&Rs and your bylaws, same process, except the homeowners do have to approve those. And I just went through your CC&Rs, and it says that you need a 20% vote, if I'm reading that correctly, to sign off on those amendments. So it's actually not as many as I thought. And we can add that, like Heaven said, on your budget proxies that we send out for approval.
Hey, Christina, since you're right there, help me understand that section of the CC&Rs. 20% vote, but I have to get a certain population, a certain percentage of the population present, not just a mere quorum, I think is what I read.
So, yeah, so they can be present by proxy or in person or Zoom quote. So they don't necessarily have to be on the call with us. It's 20% of the homeowners have to vote by proxy or in person.
Great point as well. And that's something Heaven and I discussed, board, is if we give it time and set a target date of the budget ratification meeting, and we include this in the mailer, and that gives owners time to respond via proxy and absentee voting, and those votes will be counted at that meeting as well. So
22 homeowners, that's pretty doable. I'm sure you have half of that on all of your committees that will, sign off on the approval. At least the majority of them will. So it's not actually a daunting task as I thought it was going to be.
What's your concept to Christina?
I have communities that have 80 or 90% approval, so 20% I could do in my sleep.
Well, one comment on the rules revision. When we originally put these new rules out, because we didn't have rules before last year, we did put the rules out and gave homeowners opportunity to comment on the rules before we did we published them.
Yeah.
So I would still like to give them an opportunity for 30 days to comment on the rules before we voted on them.
Totally
Does that
fine.
make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Paul, in the minutes, if you could action to me to load those into Basecamp, they're in the Google Drive right now, but I owe them to you all in Basecamp, and that will allow us to give it a hard look to see where we're at, and what I think is the current state. And then I would say that we want the legal review before we give them to the owners, and not the other way around, because if we're dead wrong, we're out of line with not aligning with state or local law, then
Take it back once it goes out to your owners.
yeah, give the owners a read ahead and for feedback after we know that we're legally sound. And then if we choose to make adjustments, then we sure can. Any other questions or comments concerning rules revision and CC&R bylaw revision at this time?
Eric, do we want to make a deadline to have these rule revisions looked over from the board and the CC&Rs looked over by the board so we can get these moved forward to legal?
Well, so here's what I'm proposing. The rules I'm going to drop in Basecamp for the board to review and amend or adopt, and then the CC&Rs, I'm asking that we package those to the lawyer to scrub from top to bottom, because it's over my head personally, and I don't know of anyone volunteering in the community that has the knowledge, skills, or attributes or time to go through plus or minus 200 pages of legal documents and to adjust them legally sufficient. It was an option that we could do DIY the amendments and give them to legal for an opinion, and it would save us tons of money. But do we have anyone that's willing and able to take on that task? That's the portion I wanted to table into Basecamp for us to figure out. That I don't think we have figured out right now.
At one time, we were looking at the bylaws and we had some input on certain revisions that we did want to make as a board.
So it will probably take an attorney maybe less than a week to get those turned around versus months for board members to meet and try and talk those through. So I would recommend having the attorney review it, turning it around. They're really fast. I'm doing this in like 4 of my communities right now, and they turn them around so fast, like within weeks.
But if we as a board want to make any revisions to the bylaws,
Yes.
we should make those revisions prior to sending them to the attorney.
You should type up a list of actions that you would like to make the revisions on from your bylaws.
And that's what I'm looking for, a deadline for us to get that done before we send this stuff to the attorney.
All right, here, I got you. Now I understand. Sorry, Paul, I just wasn't following, but now I'm with you. So let's say today's the 27th. What's our next meeting date?
February 24th.
February 24th. Okay. So what's 5 days prior to that Monday? So the Monday of that week is the deadline for everyone to chime in. And then is that enough time for you to package anything into the board product, or do you need a little bit more lead time than
So a month should be good.
Huh?
A month is good.
No. Okay. So if I give 3 weeks to the board to amend
He's talking about
documents,
board meeting packet. He's talking about the board meeting
Oh,
packet.
yes.
How much lead time do you need me to give you to package the board packet? The board meeting?
At least if I have everything y'all would like in that board packet by the 17th, that would be perfect. So
Okay.
then if there's any changes that need to be made, we have time for that as well.
So Paul, the board's deadline to,
It'll be February 17th.
to discuss and provide input to CC&R adjustments and the rules will be February 17th. And an action item to
Thursday, February 17th.
say again?
Thursday, February 17th.
Okay. And then action to me is to load those into Basecamp for you all. And I'll do that tomorrow. So if you guys don't see them by noon tomorrow, Paul, please ping me and I'll drop them in real quick.
Now, my question for the board is this important enough for us to have a special meeting between now and then? Or do we all feel comfortable using Basecamp and can we discuss it there? Or are we going to need to have a special meeting to do this?
I think Basecamp does just fine and is conscious of all of our time as well.
I'm learning how to use it better and better every day.
Savannah, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning everything right now, so that should be fine. I'll ask questions when needed. So
There's a test at 8:00 tonight.
got it. Yeah.
Okay. It's an essay. It's a 5,000 word essay. So
Oh yeah, no big deal.
just get ready.
All right.
All right. Any more discussion on that? I think we beat that down and we're clear where we need to go. Anybody else?
Evergreen rules, Savannah. There's no grading at Evergreen.
All right. The next newsletter, we owe the community a newsletter, and Savannah is going to draft that next newsletter, but she needs our input. So I'm going to load the newsletter template into Basecamp and ask that all of us provide her some content for the next newsletter. I will take on the past 60 days since the last meeting was November. I'll play a little catch-up section. Rob, if you want to keep your VP's corner about whatever Rob wants to talk about.
Roger that.
Fake bread on the Traeger or whatever. Little recipe section, whatever you got there. Let's help her out.
Jennifer says the ACC will take a spot.
I heard two people talking.
We're both saying the same thing, but Jennifer said that she would like the ACC committee to have a spot on the newsletter.
Oh, yes. ACC has been asking for that. So let's carve out a corner for the ACC committee, Miss Savannah. I think we can find a nice little spot there. Other things that I'm going to find a way to fit in there is a little calendar section for upcoming meetings. That's probably just going to be like bulleted words rather than trying to be super technical with embedding a calendar. And Heaven, you gave us a document. We'll provide that too. So yeah, she PDF'd the entire year's forecasted meetings, so we can include that in the newsletter. We'll probably just make that like a 3rd-page standalone, and that gets us through the newsletter. When it's ready, it's ready.
And when that's ready, y'all can just let me know that it's complete, and then I can get that e-blasted, and then we can also add it in the newsletter section in the portal. So for anybody who may not know that they got that email with the newsletter, you can always direct them to the portal as well.
Perfect.
Also,
And Eric, can I also add that if there's any members out there that are listening right now, if they have an idea of a subject or something they'd like to see covered in the newsletter, to drop us an email, let us know as well.
Yeah, and maybe so good point. It's kind of off topic, but on topic. This customer service has a robust section of people that field calls from owners all day, every day. So I will check in with Heaven to see if there's any trending commonly asked questions and address those there as well. The e-blast for how to set up ACH was a direct result of VIS customer service section. Everyone was calling, hey, how do I do this? And I said, hey, Heaven, do you have like a little presentation or something you can send out? And boom.
I got that together.
Yeah. Yo, you made that?
Yeah, I did.
Right on. Right on.
Can I ask a question on that? Heaven, do you know, or can you say right now, what percentage of people have actually completed the online portal?
So no, we actually wouldn't be able to pull that or actually know. But accounting, like if someone's not set up with ACH and whether they don't know if they set it up correctly or not, they can always call in and ask if they set it up correctly. And that's something that we can check. So if they're unsure, we can still check that. But we don't have a percentage or anything like that, that we can only check like the accounts individually.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that if anybody out there is unsure if they have set it up correctly, just give your office a call and you can let them know pretty much immediately if it was set up correct.
Yeah, so they could call the 800 number, the customer service line, and that one, and they'll be able to help them out with that. And then if they aren't sure, then they'll either direct them to me or to accounting. If whoever's adequate to help them with that concern, then they'll direct it to that person if customer service department is not able to.
Okay.
And
Hey, Eric.
you should put in a section to introduce your manager to your community. So when they call in, if they need to speak to the manager for complaint or if they have additional questions that customers can answer, they know who they're calling for.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea.
Okay, that takes us to the annual meeting agenda and notice. Heaven, do you need me to identify what we're going to talk about, or do you have a template?
So we have a notice. We have a notice template. Sorry about that. We have a notice template that we use to get out. But if you want to put that agenda together, then get it to me. And if you want to add that to that notice, we can do that. We don't technically have to, but I do know like y'all like to get y'all's agendas out to y'all's homeowners. So that's something that we can do a few weeks before. The notice does have to be sent out. Let me verify. I have it in my calendar. The meeting is March 24th. So the notice does have to be out by that 10th of March. So I request that we have anything that you're wanting in that notice by the 1st of March so I can have our internal process, because we do have an internal process of getting these approved and make sure everything is correct and we don't have to resend them out if something is incorrect. We do make sure that everything is triple checked, especially with these notices because they are so important. So I request that everything that y'all want to be on there or needed for that, what if there's bios for electioning, anything that else that needs to be in there for any election process, if y'all will be having, well, every year you should have one, but anything similarities to that for the annual meeting, I will need by the March 1st date.
I think I'm going to ask the majority of this to be status quo for you to share with us what's a standard annual meeting agenda. But I've got questions about the election. So let me catch you up to where we are.
Okay.
We were all elected in October 2020. And board, if I get the timeline wrong, jump in. We were all elected simultaneously when we took owner control of the HOA. And in that time, in one of the subsequent meetings, we decided that the the president and member at large would their terms would expire this annual meeting. 3 out of 5, is my math right, Paul? Yeah, 3 out of 5 have subsequently resigned and were replaced by the current board since then. So do those new people, do their terms follow the old person, or
Yes.
so it's the office, it's the position that's expiring. So that's the position
Yes.
that needs elected. So I need to tell you who those people are, what those positions are, and make them available.
Yes.
Okay.
So whenever that happens, people fill in a position of a vacant position. They finish the term that the previous person was serving. So if it was, they had 6 months left, then that's all they will be serving. If it was a year, then that's all they would be serving, or until the next annual meeting, then that's when they serve, and then that position becomes available again. They can elect for themselves for that position again if they want to continue, but that would be an open position that would be up for election.
Okay. And did you already base camp me a draft?
I Basecamp do a draft of the notice. It was just like the front page notice, and that was it. But
Okay.
if you would like an example of like a full proxy and every election form as well, I can add that on there as well.
Okay. And when you do, I will tell you the positions that are going to need reelected or open to being contested. Okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion there from the board? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move to the reserve expenses. The reserve study identified these 2 items, the fence staining and the asphalt ceiling. I noticed in Basecamp, VIS needs to know the scope of work a little bit better.
Yes.
Heaven, you and I can do that during our walkthrough next week.
Okay, that's perfect.
We'll determine what's common there so that you can get these RFPs out and back. No real timeline other than it's a scheduled 22 reserve expense, so we need to conduct it this year. Both those items look like they're warm weather labor projects, so we're trying to get ahead of scheduling by getting these proposals in now for approval so that we can get on people's schedules.
Yeah, so we already work with a few companies, so I plan to reach out to those companies that we already work with as a company, and it'll be a little faster process, and they value more of our time than trying to search for new companies. And so once we do that walkthrough, I can get them a better scope of what proposal is needed, and then they will probably get back to me within, since our next walkthrough is next week, then they can get back to me by the following month, hopefully.
That sounds perfect. And Paul was savvy enough to use his Apple Pen to highlight some private roads and stuff that we used for the snow vendor.
Okay.
Snow removal company. So we've got some graphics that will help visualize for you as well.
Great.
We'll get those to you. Any discussion here from the board?
Yeah, one on the fence staining. Originally, I think when this was done, we were looking at only staining the fence in the park. All right. I think the board needs to sit down and consider, do we want to stain more than that? Because if we don't, and we leave it up to individuals in the community to stain their fence when they feel like it, we're going to have different stained fences throughout the entire community. And that is not going to look good.
Evan, I'm going to give the floor to you because you had the perfect response to that when I asked you the same thing.
Yes, so what we do recommend, this is what we do with all of our communities regarding fence staining. If y'all don't already have something lined up in the CC&Rs or the rules and regulations about fence staining and specifically what color it needs to be, then that's something that we can add since we are revising. Another thing that we do is during our compliance runs, we can create this as a exterior maintenance that the homeowner is responsible for. Since it is an exterior maintenance that is on their property line, it's their fences, they are responsible for those fences. So what we usually do is just say our next compliance run, we determine which fences need staining. If it's all of them, then it's all of them. If it's just a few that are just very dingy and they need staining, or y'all have that original color that they were originally stained, then we can use that color and have a letter sent out to these homeowners letting them know your fence needs attention and it needs to be stained by X date. Usually we prefer to do, since this is something larger that they would need to get someone out and possibly see how much it would be, see if it's something they can do right away. Maybe they can't do it right away because it's a larger project for them. We usually try to give them 3 to 6 months depending on the scope of the whole work that needs to be done. And if it's not done per the first compliance courtesy letter, then we'll say, okay, by 6 months, if it's not done, then we're going to send another letter, and we can choose to find them. We can choose to send a second courtesy letter, like just, hey, this is a second notice that your fence needs to be stained by the end of the year. Just depending on things like that. Sometimes, like if it has to do with house painting, fence staining, we do like to give up to a year before we do start finding, and then requiring that specific color. So if it's not so then it's all the same color and it's in order and it's not, you don't have some random color, but that's something that I believe Eric said that y'all did have an original color previously that y'all may be able to use.
Yeah, so I coordinated with Century, and they gave me the exact paint code or stain code for Sherwin-Williams. I couldn't think of the name. So that's in the edited revised rules that I'm going to drop into Basecamp for you all to see. So as an owner, and then what I can do at Sherwin-Williams, because I saw it when I was in there buying some paint, is if we tell them the community name and what lots or whatever, if a customer walks in asking for, hey, I forgot what it's called or whatever, all they got to do is say the community name and they'll get hooked up at the counter. All they got to do is show up. And then the other piece that Heaven had brought to my attention was we can use the newsletter, e-blast, and whatever other means of communication that we choose to identify, hey, this year is a staining year. And we can control it that way rather than pulling a contract to do all these private lots and having to figure out that aspect. We can determine as a board, knowing that the oldest home was completed in 2018 and the newest home was completed in 2020. You got some that are 3 years into stain and some that are not, right? So however you all wanted to say 2022 is a stain year. Obviously, for the common area, fence staining is identified in the reserve study as being a requirement for this year. So if you want to send out a notice to the owner saying, hey, this year is the year to stain your fence, then they've got all summer to comply. And then, like Heaven said, we just address it with the compliance committee through VIS rather than trying to take on a project that really isn't our lane as an HOA board to be completing the work on these private lots.
Yeah. So my question is, if the other side of your fence is a common area, who takes care of that other side of the fence?
If the fence is part of the property line, then it is the homeowner's responsibility.
So they take care of both sides.
Yes.
So, okay. So I'm looking down the alleyway behind Maze. Was there like 6 or 7 different homes there? So there's going to be different fence stain levels throughout that area because some people will do it 1 year and some people will do it 3 years later.
Right. That's what I'm proposing, Paul. So we identify as the board, we identify what year is a stain year, and all 107 units stain that same year. So the age of the stain is only going to be months apart from each other at best, especially considering we're in the Pacific Northwest and you only have a few months of opportunity to do such a project.
So for the part that we're responsible for, that little fence there in the park, little tiny fence there, could we, probably wouldn't make a big deal, but if we made a deal with the staining company that we would hire them to do that, would they be willing to give our homeowners a discount if they would do theirs at the same time?
The same way that I pulled the tree contract, right? So the majority of the trees were on the HOA to handle, and there were like literally three private trees, and I extended the plan to those private owners, and they opted in individually and paid direct to the arborist. So I imagine that we could do the same with these vendors for the fence standing.
And what I recommend to be able to do that is when we send out this e-blast or put it on the newsletter or send out these courtesy letters, however we choose to do it, we can put in that information. We are working with X contractors to get the parking fence done. If you would like to use them as well, please reach out to us and we can add you, and they can bill you separately. And we just add them to the list for those for that contract.
Yep. Perfect. That's exactly how it worked with the previous tree work. So I think that's the best plan. Any other discussions on the 2022 reserve expenses? Hearing none and not seeing the audit company. So we'll table the audit, and I'm making the strong assumption that no one wants to approve an audit without asking questions that we had drafted. So table the audit approval until the next month, the February 24th meeting, and motion to adjourn to the executive session. Is there a motion?
A motion to adjourn to executive session.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor to adjourn the open session and move to executive?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourning executive session and moving back into regular session. Are there any motions to be made in this regular session?
Yeah, this is Paul. I'm going to make a motion that the wording we just looked at concerning the homeowner issue.
To move forward with the approval of an extension request.
Yes, just what she said.
So, Paul, are you making a motion to adopt the language discussed in executive session concerning the extension request of an owner in compliance?
Yes.
Rob, second.
All in favor?
Rob, aye.
Paul, aye.
Savannah, I.
It's unanimous. Are there any other
new items of business? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Rob.
All seconds.
Yes, sir.
All right, the motion, the meeting is adjourned. Time is 7:43. Paul, the next scheduled meeting is February 24th at 5:30 p.m.
Eric, on record, I need to make mention I will not be available for that meeting.
Hey, fair enough. I'm glad you gave me the notice. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Thank you.
have a quick question for you. In Basecamp, where did you want that language put?
It's going to be under compliance, and then under that bolded compliance, I created an action item.
It's got the owner's address.
It has the owner's address, and I put your name as well attached to it. I signed it to you.
Anonymous. Okay. All right, I'll have to find it.
I'll help you. I'll help you get there. Paul, what's your morning schedule look like tomorrow?
Taking a wife in for eye surgery.
Yikes. Well, never mind, man. Find 5 minutes tomorrow. Give me a call and we can clean each other's admin up. Because I think I got a list of action items to myself I need to get taken care of. Savannah, with that said, these minutes will be posted into the Google Drive, and they'll be there for review, and then we'll approve them at the next meeting. And I'll also get them posted into Basecamp.
I'll create an item for a tab for that as well.
There you go. Thank you.
And I'm not as fast as the previous person that was taking minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get this done anytime soon. I'm going to have to go back to the video.
You would have been faster than me, I guarantee. So.
Paul,
I took my own
you
notes.
did it.
I took a lot of notes tonight, but just, I don't know.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh.